Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Lagos, there was an aroma of a popular food which filled the air every morning. It was hawked by many young women in the different areas of the city. Among the many hawkers, one woman stood out, Toyosi, popularly known as Toyo Baby because of her charming smile, baby face, and personality. She was famous for her Ewa Agoyin, a beloved dish made of mashed beans with a spicy sauce. Every day, as dawn broke, Toyo Baby would hawk her delicious Ewa Agoyin through the narrow streets, her voice a familiar call that drew customers from every corner of the town. People stopped and flocked around her to taste her dish, served with soft bread or plantain. The flavor was unique, and even those from neighboring towns made the journey just to buy from her. Despite attempts by others to replicate her recipe, no one could match the unique taste of Toyo Baby's Ewa Agoyin. When asked about her secret, she would smile mysteriously, keeping the truth close to her heart. Years before, during a harsh dry season in Lagos, people faced a severe water shortage. The wells and rivers nearly dried up, and people struggled to find water for their daily needs. Toyo Baby, desperate to keep her business going, wandered the town in search of water. Her livelihood depended on it, and with every passing day, her anxiety grew. Then, she thought of a ridiculous idea and decided to try it. The idea was going to any mortuary to spend a night while she asked the spirits for help. Toyo Baby had thought of this idea when she remembered an ancient story her grandmother told her when she was a child. It was about different people who summoned the courage to carry out the ridiculous practice to find solution to their problems. Toyo Baby thought it was not a bad idea to try it out. After all, it doesn't involve taking any life, but just for her business to continue to boom. So that evening, after she had made up her mind, she walked to the local mortuary. On arrival, Toyo Baby noticed a mortuary attendant dumping water behind the building. Something sparked within her that the solution to her problem has come even before spending the night. So she immediately walked up to the mortuary attendant, and desperation pushed her to ask him about it. The mortuary attendant explained that the water has been used to wash the bodies of the deceased before burial. Toyo Baby was initially horrified and rejected the idea, but as the days grew hotter and the town's water supplies dwindled, her desperation outweighed her fear. With no other options, she returned to the mortuary later the next night to collect water used to wash dead bodies. She spoke with the mortuary attendant, who after seeing her distress offered her the water. Then he warned her seriously, saying, "Woman, this water from the dead bodies carry a mysterious power of both life and death, so make sure to use it wisely." Toyo Baby hesitated, but in her desperation, she nodded her head and took the water and used it to prepare her Ewa Agoyin. To her surprise, the dish turned out better than ever. Her customers raved about the enhanced flavor, and soon her business flourished more than before. What had begun as a desperate act became a routine, with Toyo Baby returning to the mortuary regularly, always in secret to collect the water that had saved her livelihood. As Toyo Baby's Ewa Agoyin gained legendary status, her reputation grew. She made a lot of money and became a respected figure in the community. Yet, the weight of her secret haunted her. She feared that her secret would be exposed, and so she lived in constant fear. When the dry season was over and the town enjoyed their usual water supply, Toyo Baby didn't stop going to the mortuary. She thought to herself, making a comparison in her head, that she makes more money using the mortuary water than when she used the normal clean water from the town. So one evening, as she made her usual trip to the mortuary, she was followed by a curious young man named Ayo. Ayo was a popular customer of Toyo Baby's delicious Ewa Agoyin. He had observed how only Toyo Baby sold all her food in no time during the dry season, while other hawkers couldn't sell much due to the water crisis. Is it that this water crisis didn't affect Toyo Baby? That she even increased the quantity of Ewa Agoyin she prepared every day? he thought as he became suspicious of Toyo baby. Due to his suspicion of Toyo baby's success, Ayo decided to uncover the truth behind her secrets, so he started following and observing her every day. Then one night, he followed her till she got to the mortuary as usual. Hidden in the shadows, Ayo watched as Toyo baby collected the water from the mortuary and returned home. He observed how she carefully kept the water in her kitchen. The next day, Ayo confronted Toyo baby. "I know your secret, Toyo," he said quietly but firmly. "You've been using water from the mortuary to cook your Ewa Agoyin." Toyo baby's heart raised. She tried to deny it, but Ayo's determined gaze told her it was pointless. Please, she pleaded. "Don't tell anyone. My entire livelihood depends on this." Ayo, however, had a different plan. "Well, Toyo baby, don't worry. I won't tell anyone. But you must give me half of your profit. If you refuse, I'll reveal everything," Ayo told her. Left with no choice, Toyo baby agreed. The uneasy partnership continued for months, with Ayo taking his share of the earnings, while Toyo baby lived in fear of her secrets being exposed. Her anxiety deepened when strange, unexplainable events began to occur. At first, the disturbances were minor, an unexpected chill in the air, a draft that made her shiver. But soon, the happenings became more pronounced. Shadows seemed to move at the edge of Toyo baby's vision. Dark shapes that trotted across the room and vanished when she looked directly at them. The shadows in the small kitchen seemed to twist and stretch, growing darker and more menacing. At night, things grew worse. Soft whispers began to fill her ears, like distant murmurs that she couldn't quite make out. As the days passed, the whispers grew louder, forming disjointed sentences in the language she didn't understand. The voices seemed to come from everywhere surrounding her, calling her name in a sorrowful tone. The atmosphere in her home and her roots became thick with a sense of dread. Objects began to move on their own. Her cooking spoons clattered to the ground. Pots shifted, and even the tray she used to serve her Ewa Agoyin falls from the top of the table to the ground on its own. Sometimes, the carefully arranged bread and plantain on the tray she used to hawk and sell was oftentimes scattered all around the kitchen, like someone tampered with it, while clearly she lives alone. On some nights, Toyo baby would wake up from sleep, startled by the feeling of cold. Invisible hands brushed against her skin, or the sensation of her blankets being tugged. Her dreams were filled with terrifying visions of ghostly figures, their faces obscured, reaching out to her with skeletal fingers, chasing her in her dreams. She would wake up drenched in sweat, her heart pounding in her chest. One particularly frightened night, Toyo baby awoke to find a thick ghostly fog seeping into her room, swirling under the door and around her bed. The fog took on shapes, shadow figures that hovered above her, their hollowed eyes fixed on her with a terrifying gaze. They whispered a single chilling phrase. "Toyo baby, return what is ours. You must return what is ours." Toyo baby was overwhelmed with fear. She tried to cleanse her room and her kitchen with prayers and traditional rites, but the apparitions only grew stronger. The spirits seemed to close in on her, their presence suffocating, making her feel trapped and watched at all times. Each morning, she discovered strange markings on the ground, unfamiliar symbols scratched into the dust by unseen hands. Even on the walls of her room, she could see different scratches. Her customers began to sense something was wrong. They complained of a cold breeze or the eerie sensation of being washed as they bought her Ewa Agoyin from her. What was once a bustling trade route now felt haunted, and Toyo baby could no longer ignore the horror that had seeped into her life. The relentless hauntings left her in a state of constant fear, her once thriving business now overshadowed by the dark forces she had unwittingly unleashed. The spirits were growing angrier by the day. Their demands for retribution became more insistent. The breaking point came when a customer fell seriously ill after eating her Ewa Agoyin. The town erupted in panic, and rumors of a curse began to spread. Desperate, Toyo baby returned to the local priest for help. The priest listened to her story, his expression growing graver with each word. "You have disturbed the balance between life and death," he said. "The spirits are angry, and they demand retribution." He instructed her to perform a cleansing ritual to appease the spirits. Toyo baby followed his advice, offering prayers and sacrifices at the mortuary. For a short time, the disturbances stopped and the customer recovered. She hoped her troubles were over, but Ayo's greed knew no bounds. Ayo, now emboldened by his control over Toyo baby, demanded more money. When she refused, he threatened to reveal her secret once more. Desperate, Toyo baby devised a means to rid herself of Ayo forever. So one night, Toyo baby invited Ayo to her home, pretending to give him his share of the profits. She prepared a special batch of Ewa Agoyin using the mortuary water, but this time she added a potent sleeping draught. As Ayo ate, he became drowsy and eventually collapsed. With a heavy heart, Toyo baby dragged his unconscious body to the mortuary that night and left him there, hoping the spirits would take care of him. When she returned home, she felt a brief sense of relief, but her conscience weighed heavily on her. The next morning, news spread that Ayo had been found dead at the mortuary. The town was in shock, and the rumors of a curse grew even louder. Toyo baby was determined to continue with her business, with the thought that at least the person who had been a big pain in her neck was no more. Few days later, Toyo found a small calabash in front of her house with a note in it, telling her she only has 3 days to confess, or else she would die a cruel death worse than the way she killed Ayo. Toyo baby was shocked and terrified as she saw the note, because she thought Ayo was the only one who knew about her secret, and now she doesn't know who this was coming from. But she hardened her mind to ignore it. That was the first day of the warning. The next day, which was the second day, she saw another note with blood stains, still warning her that she has less than 24 hours to confess, or else she would join Ayo where he is. Still, Toyo baby ignored it, telling herself that it was an empty threat. Then on the third day, something happened. Dear viewers, what do you think left the note? Well, keep listening to the story to find out. But before I continue, this is a plea to you, my awesome viewers who have not yet subscribed to my channel, to please be a part of my growth. I'm begging you to please click on that subscribe button. God bless you as you do so. And if you are a returning subscriber, hey, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much. Now let's go back to the story. In the early hours on the third day, Toyo baby had a terrible nightmare, one she had never had before. She saw herself being buried alive by angry ghosts, with a sound of time almost running out by her side. Just then she woke up, consumed by fear and guilt. She knew she had to make things right. Unable to bear the burden any longer, Toyo baby decided to confess to the entire town. She revealed her dark secret, begging for forgiveness. The townspeople, horrified and furious, demanded justice. Toyo baby was brought before the council of elders, where she faced judgment. Ayo's wife, who also knew everything about Toyo baby's secret, stepped out and sadly narrated how Toyo baby killed her husband, leaving out how her husband knew about Toyo baby's secret and how he was making money off her. She narrated how Toyo baby has been using water from the mortuary to cook her Ewa Agoyin for a very long time now. And then she walked close to where Toyo baby knelt down. She looked into her eyes and whispered to her that she was the one behind the secret notes, and she has decided she will quietly deal with her, making sure she pays dearly for killing her husband if she refuses to confess. Toyo baby was shocked. Then Ayo's wife told her, "Well, but since you have confessed, I'll just let justice take its course." The elders had a long deliberation, and then they finally decided that Toyo baby would be banished from Lagos. Stripping her of her possessions, she was sent away, marked by her own actions. As she walked away from the town that had once been her home, Toyo baby felt a strange sense of relief. The burden of her secret was finally lifted, though the cost had been immense. Years later, the story of Toyosi, known as Toyo baby, and her cursed Ewa Agoyin became a cautionary tale. It served as a reminder of the dangers of desperation and greed. The people of Lagos never forgot her story, and the mortuary water remained untouched, a silent witness to the tragic events that had unfolded. Toyo baby, now living in a distant city, found solace in a humble life, free from the shadows of her past. She never cooked Ewa Agoyin again, but she often told her story to anyone who would listen, hoping to impact the lesson she had learned the hard way. Some secrets are too heavy to bear, and the price of success is not worth the cost of one's soul. Thanks for watching the video to the end. Leave your thoughts about the story in the comments section below. See you in our next video.